insurance policies. And
Oh.
I don't know nothing about this.
Yeah.
Well, she said, I think I forgot those.
It happens.
Okay, clock says 7:30. We'll call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome all of you to the December meeting of the Finney County Development Corporation. We'll start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, hopefully you've all received your consent agenda. I hear a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Don't see anyone here. So we'll
I'm
move
going
on.
to go sit in the audience again.
Yeah. Okay, we're to you, Lana.
All right, good morning. Prospect-wise, we haven't had a lot of updates. We are working with some entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs, and Grant will have a little bit of an update on that as well. But pretty much the prospects we've been working with, everything's kind of quieted down, and I have no doubt we'll fire back up right after the first of the year, so we'll be ready. On housing prospects, we are working with a couple of LIHTC developers, the low-income housing tax credit developers. Finney County was listed as one that would get extra points in this first round in 2025 because we haven't had a LIHTC project in a very long time. So that spurs the interest in the communities. Those are really, really competitive tax credits. So anything that offers extra points is going to attract the developers. So the city actually put out an RFP, not at the meeting yesterday, but at the last meeting, asking for interested parties to express their interest to the city of Garden City. So we'll have some idea of how many of them may be considering applying for Finney County projects. So we've...
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
What kind of income level do they have?
Well, it varies. They've modified that program so that it's supposed to be attainable rental housing. We still struggle sometimes with getting folks to qualify under the income limits just because our wages are higher. But if they have a large enough family size, sometimes that'll offset the income piece of it. So yeah, it's not as easy as it used to be to kind of pinpoint who that ideal demographic is. But
Do you have to be a citizen to qualify?
I don't know that there's a question about that on their applications. I can't answer that. I don't know. We did have the city had their RHID annual update yesterday at their pre-meeting, so we had some good conversations around that. I'm sure most of you have heard Tyson will be relocating somewhere over 200 associates to the community with the closure of their Emporia plant, and then of course we have Empirical coming online, and still have folks to recruit for them as well. So we're all very mindful of the housing situation and continue to work on that.
On the Tyson deal, 200, does that mean mom and dad, so it'll be 100 household? Have you had any information?
There's no way of knowing that for sure. The associates are, in our facility, we do have a lot of, multiple members of the same family working at Tyson, but that's not necessarily the standard. It just depends, on
Thought maybe you had heard.
on the individuals. No, we're just all fired up trying to get some additional housing rolling for them. And we do have, we've been able to expand the hours at the childcare facilities. So the Garden Academy Early Learning Center on Thompson, the one that's in the old nursing home facility, that one will start opening at 4:45 in the morning, which will allow us to help out some of that A shift at Tyson at least. Hopefully at some point we'll be able to expand that and offer all of the hours that they need, but this will be a huge help if we're
Do
able to
they
do
have
this.
that many open positions out there that they can?
They're expanding, yeah.
They are.
The Emporia operations have to be absorbed by other facilities, and they're closing facilities in other states as well. So we'll see how it all shakes out as far as how much. The Emporia plant was a further processing facility. They didn't do harvest there. So this will be further processing that'll locate here.
That's a good thing.
Yep. The county did accept the infrastructure for the Country Acres project at their meeting on Monday. And Hunter's Glen has 2 more phases that should be starting, hopefully, shortly after the first of the year, which is also exciting. And then we did the Prairie Wind mobile home community invited us out to look at some of their new mobile homes that they've put in place out there. Those are owner occupied, so they purchased some brand new mobile homes and put them in place, and then they build decks and they have yards and sprinkler systems and the whole 9 yards. So they've got a few additional spots there that they're hoping to get filled, which will help because those are a little quicker units to the market, if you will, and then working with them to see if we can expand some of the East Garden Village, the areas that are still vacant in there. So hopefully we'll be able to pick up some additional mobile homes in our existing mobile home parks to meet some of the housing demand that's coming. And then the MIH ARPA project on Palace is moving forward. We've had multiple meetings with KHRC over the last couple of weeks, and some new construction partners coming in on that, and new development partner coming in. So that project should get underway to get those MIH ARPA units built, which is good. And then other things we've been working on, worked with the county commission, opted to submit a grant application to KDOT for some road work out in the Northwest Industrial Park. And we've done quite a bit of analysis on that, and some other work that I think will help to get that project finished. So other things that are coming up, our office does close from Friday through January 2nd. Our team will be working remotely if anybody needs anything. I'll be at the office frequently, with the exception of right around Christmas itself. But the team is still available if you need them, but they get the opportunity to travel and take their laptops along. And then the annual meeting, just as a reminder, is set for January 23rd. We'll do the regular meeting at 10 o'clock, and then the annual meeting will begin at 11:30. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you, Lana. We will move on to Mr. Cottrell.
Happy Ugly Sweater Day.
I didn't hear that one.
It's International Migrants Day. Make Cookies Day. Wear a plunger on your head day.
Wear a plunger on your head day.
Answer the phone like Buddy the Elf Day.
Okay.
So I never watched the movie, so I don't know how Buddy the Elf would answer the phone.
So where's your sweater?
If only we would have known.
Closest that I have is my sweatshirt. Inside my jacket. Okay, on the industrial side, we received 2 RFPs from KDOC. The first prospect needed a 350,000 square foot existing building. The second one needed an initial site of 150 acres, up to 250 acres would be beneficial, for at least 1 million square foot building.
Million square feet.
Yeah, that's a little bit more than we can handle. Even the 350 would be hard. We just leased the last one out.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
When you receive these RFPs, do they send that to everybody, or is it, we'll pick areas, or it goes to everybody then?
It depends. There are occasions when they have highlighted areas where the prospect has already identified
Okay.
they want to locate. But usually, yes.
Okay, continued work on commercial development concepts. Prepared the financial analysis for the CID at the 401 East Kansas, which the city commission had the hearing yesterday. Pretty. Worked on a concept for an activity and entertainment facility geared more towards short-term family activities, group activities. On the residential side, continued conversations with an out-of-state multifamily development. Prepared several concepts for a local contractor wanting to build 20 single-family homes a year for at least 2 years. Country Acres Phase 1 infrastructure has been accepted by the county commission, as mentioned. And the county commission decided to give the jail consultant a design contract for the jail facility at a yet undesignated site. That's all I've got.
Questions for Steve? Thank you, sir. Up next, we'll hear from Scott Ost. Sorry, Scott. Skipped over you.
The short month with the Thanksgiving holiday mixed in, we had decent average views across the board on all the social media stuff. Last week's K-State Community College MOU signing was one of the top posts read and looked at, and there was a good turnout last week. I came back for that, and it was exciting.
Yeah.
We also had some continued interest in looking at the Icon Cinema proposal, and the other thing that was, third thing that was big this month was the Crystal Apple Awards. So really nothing but those three were kind of the big things people wanted and were interested in and took a look at and are still looking at. So that's good to know. Any questions on social media?
Thank you, Scott. Okay, up next, Grant Lindberger, Business Development.
Good morning.
Morning.
I have a client 6241 restaurant This client's second potential partner has backed out. The current bank this client has been talking to is given a refusal to financing without a partner. We're waiting to receive a letter of refusal from the bank to allow us to continue with our next steps. The client has started talks with a separate bank that could possibly provide a partner investor. Client 9242, I attended this client's presentation to a third-party business on location. The meeting went well for them. There were a few questions that needed further exploration. Determining the involvement of this third party will greatly affect this client's success in their business. Time will be given to the third party to decide what direction they would like to go. This client will follow up after the start of the next year if they have not heard back. Client 10242, food service entertainment. As I continue to help move along the process of this client's Kansas liquor license application, I'm still waiting to hear back from a representative with the Kansas Department of Revenue. Client 11241, entertainment. This client is waiting to hear back from their bank, who in turn are waiting on a response for the approval of an SBA 504 loan. That could take up to about 3 to 4 weeks, as suggested by the bank. The contractor for this client anticipates at least 50 days notice prior to the start date. And once we have financing determined for this client, they'll be ready to create an LLC, and we can help them with an LOI for the location on their business. Client 12241, this client stopped by our office after getting directed to us through a Facebook comment I had put on Garden City chat to offer help on creating a business plan. This client is new to the area and has discovered a need for a community in Garden City. There are a few aspects that we need to clear up to determine if this client is able to acquire loans or own a business here in Garden. The client possibly may not need assistance in financing and possibly plans to cover startup costs on their own. As this client starts their written business plan and financial workbook, we will keep an eye on the best locations for their concept. And client 12242 had rescheduled twice already, currently set to meet with them today. Client 12243, this is a new client signed up through Sarah. I've reached out and have not got a response yet. That's what I have for
you. Questions for Grant? Thank you, Grant.
Thank you.
Okay, up next, Shannon Dick, Director of Analytics.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Grant's fault. I told him one of the stats I was working on, and he's like, "Are you doing Christmas stats for the board meeting?" I'm like, "Well, now I kind of have to." So here's 12 stats of Christmas, mostly Christmas related. Some of it's just a year-end kind of thing. I couldn't figure out how to make sleigh bells happen for each of these, so just imagine every time one of these pops up, it's sleigh bells. But yeah, here's some really interesting things. Some of this is just kind of more quirky things, and some of it's actually pretty good indicators of what's going on. One really interesting thing, the traffic patterns at scooters is different based on the year, part of the year. The 3rd and Kansas Avenue, its most busy time of the year, their busiest months are in November and December, whereas the campus in Mary, it's May and June, which is really interesting. And I actually thought, because the May and June up at campus in Mary, I thought the busiest time for them would be like when school's like in, but it's actually, and they're not at the same time and have different peaks, which is really just as interesting. So we have Christmas scooters. It's the one down in Kansas. That's where you should go during Christmas time. In an average day in Garden City, last year, over the last 2024, we have 54,000 people that are in town at some point. So those are people either living here, and then living here and staying here to work, living here and then working out of town or out of town and coming into work. So overall, any one day on average, there's 54,000 people that are here in Garden City.
How do you determine that?
Placer. All of this, besides one of them was done. That was my other thing. That my difficulty level was Christmassy facts, and then also just using Placer. Except for one time I couldn't use Placer.
Does that include children? Have to be.
So, in the estimate does overall, but it doesn't. say that they don't track any kids' phones. I've had to follow up with what they mean, and they just keep saying that. But they have ways to estimate the number of children that are at things. They use a lot of different ways to try to get that estimate. And we've been backing up. We actually measured Boo at the zoo this last year. The city had their counts. We had them specifically do their counts, and then we had Placer do a count within that. And again, they were within like 3% of the actual count, and that's very kid heavy. So whatever they do, and they do not tell me because I asked, however they're doing it, and they're insisting that they're not tracking kids. They just do it through their the other pieces of math. They do a good job. So yeah, so that includes kids in that number. The fall 24 semester was the busiest semester ever from the community college. On average, there's about 2,000 people there a day, and if we only look at days when school was in session, there's 2,600 people on average day there. A lot of these things I'm going to say busiest because again, I'm tracking on cell phone data, so I don't know if it's like I don't know if we had the most students, but we've had the most people there on average. When we're talking about stores, we had the most people in the store, so it doesn't necessarily mean that they had the biggest sales day ever, because I can only track the people. Black Friday 2024 was the 5th busiest day ever, so this last Black Friday was the 5th busiest day ever for our Target at 8,400 people were there. Remember more jingle bells? Black Friday 2024 was the 3rd busiest Black Friday ever for Walmart at 13,000 people. Black Fridays usually aren't, they're big for Walmart, but they're usually not the biggest. Their usually biggest days are right before Christmas. Like a couple days, like 2 or 3 days before Christmas is usually Walmart's biggest days. So that's interesting, that was big. The Saturday before Christmas in 2023 was Sam's busiest day ever. So we haven't had the day before Christmas yet, or 2 days before Christmas. So if we go look at last year's, couple days before Christmas, it was the busiest day. And they also usually don't have their busiest day. Sam's busiest times are usually in March and April, which I don't know why that would be. Maybe people getting ready for youth sports or something. You know, when they go in, because there's a lot of people buying all the snacks for the snack.
Maybe.
I don't know why that is, but they had a really big one right before last Christmas. Number 7, 2024 is the busiest year ever for Walmart Neighborhood Market, so the little Walmart on the west side of town. They are averaging now 59,000 people per month, and that's up 64% over 2018. It's really interesting to look at their stats because they've just had a slow and steady growth. There's just more and more people going there. I think you just don't know about Little Walmart until you go there and you're like, oh yeah, this is actually a really nice shopping experience. Number 8, the TA, so just north of the truck stop, including the Blackbird Diner and Dunkin' and Sbarro, had their busiest month ever in November at 49,000 people on average. And then that's up 130% over a typical month since they've been around. But that's not surprising. There's a lot of people going in for Blackberry. There's also, you can just see when Dunkin' and Sbarro's opened up, they had a big uptick in people coming. November 2024 had the most employment there, so this one isn't. This is the only one I couldn't do through Placer. November 2024 had the most employments ever at GCK at the airport, and we're projected to have more than 30,000 by year's end. So we'll have our busiest airport year ever.
Do you have any idea what we can attribute that to?
Bigger planes. I did try to run some data analysis on who's going in and going out. No surprise, the most common place to be before the airport and after the airport is Dallas's airport. So, well, that makes sense. But I mean, I think it's just a general strong. At the beginning of the year, we were good. But just as the year went on, we picked up more and more passengers. But if you also go look at the other area airports, Liberal and Dodge and Hayes, they've actually had a pretty good year too. So it's not like we're taking from at least the local airports here. So I would attribute that to just a general strong year in the economy. Plus, we also had as a nation, we had a very busy travel year this year as well. So just part of all that.
Shannon, do you have any idea what Dodge and Liberal run?
I do. I have those. I'm just not with me.
Yeah.
But in general, and it's still the case, The amounts we make up, if we look at Guard, Dodge, Liberal, and Hayes, and we look at the total passenger count out of all of those, we make up half of the passenger count, the other 3 airports make up the other half of it. And I believe it had been Liberal was the busiest out of the 3, but I think Hayes has been picking up some traffic more. So I think Liberal and Hayes are about even, with Dodge being the lowest out of everybody.
I've heard that they're going to do another parking lot
At
at the airport.
airport here, that's needed, and I believe that is in the plans.
Yeah.
Black Friday 2024 was the busiest day ever for Gardens City Plaza. I'm gonna put an asterisk on this. This is the busiest that I could track. I would guess that when Walmart was in Garden City Plaza, it was busier then, but I don't have data that far back. But so Garden City, this last Black Friday was the busiest day for Garden City Plaza. 8,649 people, up 27% over 2018. Likewise, the Downtown Christmas Parade was our largest ever parade and second largest possibly event we've ever had at one time for one little span, not like BFM parades where it's day after day after day, like one little time. There was almost 13,000 people that showed up, which is over 12% over last year, which was also one of the biggest parades we've ever had in Garden City. So really good turnout to the Christmas parade. And then finally, Black Friday was the busiest day ever for Shoreline Crossing with 21,469 people that came in on that one day, the Shoreline Crossing, up over 10% over last Black Friday. So really, really good shopping days.
You love this cell phone data, don't you?
It tells you a lot of things that you can't get, well, you can get it other ways, but this is way easier. So it's really fun to just sit down and like, how did Shoreline Crossing do? And all those things. So it's really neat. And it's surprisingly accurate. I mean, you would hope the data that we report is accurate, but every time we go and do those check-ins, it's still, whoever they got running that program, they know what they're doing. So yeah, it's fun. Any other questions?
Thank you, Shannon.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Ding.
Okay, new business.
Nope,
No. Old business.
nope.
Upcoming events.
Annual meeting, January 23rd, 10 o'clock for the regular meeting, 11:30 for the annual meeting.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay, do we have a need for executive session?
We do. We actually need to do 2 executive sessions, one for client confidentiality and one for non-elected personnel. 15 minutes should get us for client confidentiality, if you'd like to start with that one, 15 or 20.
Okay. I hear a motion to approve.
So moved.
Go ahead.
Going into executive session, the first executive session.
Okay.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we wait on the second one, or do we approve that?
Yep, we'll come out of the first one and go into the second one.
All right. Okay, we'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you, staff. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
I don't have access to.
Everybody might hit their microphones.